Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, Dr. Manier, friends from EcoBank and colleagues, I'm very pleased that you've been able to join us for this really exciting partnership between BII and EcoBank in Sierra Leone. This $25 million commitment we've entered into is designed to drive private sector growth in Sierra Leone by enabling EcoBank Sierra Leone to increase lending to businesses, including particularly underserved and high-impact sectors such as renewable energy, agriculture, agro-processing, infrastructure, and manufacturing. It will also encourage more lending to women-led businesses, which is an important priority for BII. We believe that supporting private sector development is essential to bolstering and supporting growth and resilience in Sierra Leone. SMEs, which is the focus of this facility, accounts for 70% of the employment in Sierra Leone. But as we know, in Sierra Leone, like in many parts of Africa, SMEs are one of the least, they have the least access to finance. So this risk-sharing facility will help EcoBank grow its loan book by increasing credit limits and extend tenors up to 5 years. Importantly, and I think what's really differential about this is that the investment comes with a comprehensive technical assistance program to support EcoBank to further develop their capabilities around lending to underserved communities and sectors in Sierra Leone. The technical assistance will cover areas such as development of an SME strategy, but also coaching to credit officers to better serve these sectors. And it will support local currency financing. All of this demonstrates BII's ability to act as a first mover in frontier markets and drive impact through pioneering risk navigation strategies. But this is not the only investment we've done in Sierra Leone. Since 2012, BII has committed about $70 million to 13 businesses in Sierra Leone that span the economy from agribusinesses, forestry, financial services, and infrastructure. And these companies cumulatively support over 1,000 jobs. Our latest investment is in Planet Solar, another really exciting project. It's a greenfield 50 megawatt solar power project, which is expected to increase electricity supply in Sierra Leone by 30%. So EcoBank Sierra Leone investment is part of a multifaceted, multi-pronged set of interventions that underpin our activities to drive impact in frontier markets through partnerships with local banks. I also want to say a few words about ARIA. ARIA was launched by BII and FMO, the Dutch Development Finance Institution, to increase investment in frontier markets. It's currently active in 5 pilot countries: Sierra Leone, Liberia, Benin, DRC, and Ethiopia. Due to information gaps and perception challenges, many of these frontier markets actually are often misunderstood, despite having economic opportunities or investment opportunities that have tremendous growth potential. So ARIA works closely with companies on the ground to enable them to become investment ready, helps build investment ecosystems, and engages governments and donors. And in Sierra Leone, we're working very, very closely with the British High Commission on their programs that dovetail the ARIA program. ARIA has already developed a pool of investment opportunities that are being currently reviewed by DFIs. So that's already proving that in these countries there are more investment opportunities than I think what sort of casual investors look at. Let me also say a few words about our relationship with EcoBank. In 2021, we provided a $50 million trade finance facility which helped EcoBank expand its reach and expand its limits in frontier markets like Burkina, Togo, and Chad. This new investment strengthens this partnership. And we really hope that this transaction can be part of a set of product-level partnerships that can act as a playbook for future investments with the EcoBank Group. I'd like to thank Sebastian, the MD of EcoBank Sierra Leone, and his team, particularly Victor and Unisa, for the time that they've spent with us and their commitment to making this transaction a success. But hopefully, success breeds success, so this should be one of many. And finally, I'd like to thank my team, many of whom are here, for the hard work that they've put into this transaction. With that, Sebastian, can I invite you up to the stage?
Your Excellency, Maury, Komba Manye, the High Commissioner to the United Kingdom from Sierra Leone, invited guests, partners, good afternoon. Today is a very exciting day for EcoBank Sierra Leone and for the EcoBank Group as a whole. We've been operating in Sierra Leone for 18 years, and so we're very committed to the economy and very committed to the country. It's true that SMEs, as Samir has said, make up 70% of the economy of the country, but SMEs actually get an extremely disproportionate share of investment and access to finance. And this agreement that we're signing with BII today is going to help, because one of the critical things about SMEs is they often don't have the collateral that is needed to enable banks provide them with finance. So what BII is going to do is to substitute its own credit worthiness for a portion of that collateral, which means that these SMEs and businesses have a lower requirement for that and can therefore access more finance. It allows us as a bank to also compete more effectively in the economy, because then we're not simply limited to what we can do on our own balance sheet. So BI is actually crowding in more investment into the country. EcoBank Sierra Leone has a business that is committed to small, medium enterprises as well as to women. In fact, we have a proprietary initiative that we call Elevate. And Elevate is all about empowering women who are in business. I can give you an example of a woman, Madam Fatima Sisse, who started with us several years ago with a $5,000 loan. She's in the business of freight forwarding and deliveries and transportation. And today she's able to access 10 times that amount of credit, and she's able to take on contracts that are 10 times what she was doing 5 years ago. So that's always an exciting example when you see a woman with a small business who's committed to working, developing to a different level. Anyone who's familiar with Sierra Leone will also know that our transportation system is largely made up of these tricycles that you see around, and there's an Indian company called TVS that brought them into the country first. The owner was an SME customer of EcoBank, and he actually transformed the transportation space of EcoBank. I'd like very much to thank the team at BII. Alex and the team, you've done a fantastic job. In fact, I've only been in Sierra Leone for the last 12 months, but when I came to Sierra Leone, this transaction was under discussion already. I saw that it was a fantastic transaction, and I gave it my support. And the teams did a fantastic job bringing it right to the line, because we signed this not very long ago between our organizations. One of the critical things this initiative will also be able to do for us is to provide longer tenured facilities, because typically speaking, most of these entities are able to access financing up to a year, and sometimes often less. With this initiative, we can actually help organizations that want to build their actual capital base by going into tenured transactions, lending up to 5 years if necessary. And I think that's important for every country that wants to be able to really build its industrial base or build its economy. So I just want to say thank you to all of those involved. We're now looking forward to moving into the execution phase, where we actually utilize these facilities to provide support to our customers in Sierra Leone. I would, at this stage, like to invite and introduce our High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, to UK from Sierra Leone, His Excellency Mori Komba Manye, to the stage.
Good afternoon, all. been told I have 4 minutes. So I'll shoot for 4 minutes. I've been here in the UK as High Commissioner for close on to 5 years. And one of the first things that I set out to do was to promote trade between Sierra Leone and the UK. And we got to that point, myself and the desk officer for West Africa in the FCDO at the time, where we were planning on exchanging visits between investors and businessmen in the UK and those from Sierra Leone. And so if we have EcoBank working to promote trade, to promote investment, to support trade and investment in Sierra Leone, we can only say thank you. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because of COVID. And since that time, there has been some turnover in desk officers for West Africa in the FCDO. I think we have a new one that is only like 1 week old. So I mean to meet and sit with her. But while all of this was going on, I was actively discussing with the then British High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Lisa Chesney, who is now gone to Uganda, I think. And we discussed trade between UK and Sierra Leone. Since your invitation to me to be here, I've been in touch with our Ministry of Trade in Sierra Leone. And then quickly I can just give some bullet points of what they think we should be looking at. I'm sure there is somebody here from the National Investment Board. Okay, so you know far more than I do, and you'll be doing. But these are some of the things that I've been told would be, because there was a Sierra Leone-UK trade investment dialogue in February of this year, and the purpose of that was to discuss investment opportunities and trade investment reforms of key ministries in Sierra Leone. But given my discussion with some members of some trade ministry officials, some of these things highlighted include UK-Sierra Leone trade has tremendous potential due to location and traveling time between the two countries. And I ask, has anyone considered direct flights between Sierra Leone and the UK? Because it's not there now, and I know it's a problem. You either sleep over in Brussels or in Paris or in Morocco or somewhere in Turkey, and it doesn't support trade. UK Sierra Leone diaspora population is huge and provides market opportunities. I know that's to be true because I've been to Peckham a few times, and I know that there are Sierra Leoneans there who are engaged in business of one sort or another. UK Sierra Leone needs a comprehensive economic partnership agreement similar to that of Kenya. I don't know the details of that, but what I do know is protection of investment and investors in Sierra Leone is an issue, and I've had discussions with the FCDO on that front. I remember that I was in Gibraltar a couple of times, and there already exists some agreement between the UK and Sierra Leone in that direction, and what Gibraltar was asking for was that that agreement be extended to them because they have a lot to offer in the area of financial services. UK Sierra Leone can leverage the services sector for which UK has significant comparative and competitive advantage. especially in the financial services sector. I just spoke about my visits to Gibraltar and my discussions with the AFSIC Deal. Trade is at an all-time low, trade between UK and Sierra Leone. And again, given personal experience, growing up in the Diamond District of Kono in Sierra Leone, I know that the Sierra Leone Selection Trust had a lot of leverage in investment, especially in the diamond mining sector. And I was in Botswana a couple of times when I was Minister of Mines, and I said to them, how is it that you have come this far with your diamonds only? And the reply was, well, we learned our lessons from Sierra Leone. Whatever those lessons are, I don't know. But we know now that today, because of diamonds, Botswana has graduated out of the LCD category. So why can't Sierra Leone do the same? Because we have more than diamonds. I'm not sure if I've not overstepped my 4 minutes time. UK-Sierra Leone trade is constrained by trade infrastructure challenges, especially in the transport and logistics sector. I just mentioned, for instance, the problems with travel between the UK and Sierra Leone. In the days of the British Airways, British Caledonian, it's one hop, 6 hours, Freetown, London. Now it takes days. And Sierra Leone needs a private sector roundtable to discuss investments and other trade issues. And I think EcoBank, you're doing the right thing, and we hope that together we can go very far. I thank you.
We will proceed with the signing of the transaction. We have Mr. Samir Abianka seated. We also have Sebastian Ashon Katai of EcoBank seated. Kevin, please join us. A round of applause to commemorate this event. Thank you very much. So we'll start the second part of the event by inviting Christina Clark-Lewis, who is a technical director and investment lead at Cadmus. Welcome, Christina.
Great, thank you, everyone. Quite a tough act to follow, such a signature event. We're very excited to have you all here in the room, and it's my great pleasure to moderate the very first panel of our Sierra Leone Investment Summit. I'm Christina Clark-Lewis, the investment lead from Cadmus, who on behalf of the UK government implements the Invest to Learn program. And part of our mandate is very much to mobilize investment to Sierra Leone. So I have had the pleasure to work with some of the investors that I'm happy to introduce now to this panel. Amongst others, I'd also like Sebastian and Alex to come back and join us. We also have Fola Pedro, Executive Director from Signum Capital and Head of the Africa Local Currency Bond Initiative, as well as Cedric Martin, a Principal Investment Officer from Proparco. So I'll join you guys over here. Great. So we've just heard of the great transaction by EcoBank and BII, but actually we also have two other transformational transactions in Sierra Leone that happened recently, and it's my pleasure to ask you about presenting a bit more about this. So maybe I can start with you, Fola, and ALCB's recent investment in Sierra Leone, which I understand was the first of its kind corporate bond, which went to Bank of Sierra Leone approval. If you could just give us some highlights of the transactions and potential impact and why ALCB invested.
Thank you. So in June this year, Bank of Sierra Leone, which is a microfinance institution in Sierra Leone that caters mostly to women, they issued a 2-year senior unsecured note on the Sierra Leonean capital market. This was quite interesting and exciting for us because we haven't done anything in Sierra Leone before, and he offered us an opportunity to do so. And equally, it was a local financial institution that, that never issued an instrument on the capital market before. And so we saw this as an exciting opportunity to support the issuance that then went on to raise about 32 million leones. That's about $1.4 million, in which the African Local Currency Bond Fund was a major investor, along with a local institutional investor, Skybank. We're also supported by Investor Loan with a grant that allowed us to participate to reduce the hedging costs. And I think for Skybank, it was also to provide a guarantee cover. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Very exciting. And then another, groundbreaking transaction by DFR, by Proparco. Cedric, it would be great if you could also tell us about your first time investing in Sierra Leone.
Of course. So we also have another exciting transaction to announce. We signed last week our first direct transaction in Sierra Leone with a major player in the agribusiness industry in Sierra Leone, Jolax. They operate a palm oil refinery in Freetown. They sell cooking oil under the brand Paddy. Those who know Sierra Leone might be familiar with the yellow jerry cans. They are quite known in Sierra Leone. So mostly cooking oil. They also do soap, so mostly for the domestic market, but also for neighboring countries in West Africa, in Guinea, Senegal, Mali, Liberia. So first transaction for us in Sierra Leone, $20 million, so quite significant. We will finance a mix of CapEx and working capital, so half capital expenditure and half working capital. So for this transaction, we received the support from ARIA and also from Investor Loan to finance a part of the due diligence costs. And we also received support from the French government under the Farm Initiative, which is a program launched 2 years ago to support sustainable value chains in Africa and in particular food security projects.
Great, thank you. And I'm sure these transactions were not without challenges, and they usually take a bit of time and patience. So I was wondering if you could tell me a bit about your transaction-specific challenges and how you've overcome them and made it possible to close these transactions. And maybe I can ask you, Sebastian, also from the point of the firm working with the DFI on the other end.
Yes, certainly. Thank you very much. I think as a commercial bank, sometimes there are transactions that you might want to do in every single sector of the economy. But when you're working with development finance institutions, they each also have their own mandates at times. So it's a fairly open discussion and a negotiation to be able to find where you meet in the middle, right? So for example, development finance institutions might not want to go into mining or maybe into breweries and distilleries and things like that, but those are also strong and vibrant parts of the economy. But what you do is you sit down with your partner, you have an open conversation, you look at what parts of the economy you can support, and you find where to meet. And we did find where to meet, so we decided we'll be looking at things like agribusiness, we'll be looking at SMEs, we'll be looking at things like transportation, and that ended up working quite well.
Great, thank you. Alex, would you like to share the perspective from BI as well, maybe?
Yeah, sure. And maybe before I do so, I just wanted to say a big congratulations to our colleagues at Proparco, because we were both rushing to sign everything before this this summit today. And what a day for Sierra Leone. On one day, almost 50 million of new investments. So really congratulations. And from our perspective, Wahid and I were on the deal team for this EcoBank transaction, and we were actually very positively surprised how smooth it was. We started discussing it at the beginning of this year, and 9 months later, it's already signed. So I think from both sides, we were very pleasantly surprised how smooth the partnership has been, and hopefully that's a good omen for the future to come. We as BAI co-lead the ARIA initiative, and through that we're trying to get more investment ready, and we do see needs to support many businesses in terms of investment readiness, for example, help with financial models, strategy, etc., and even sometimes understanding of DFIs, international investors, because sometimes businesses in Sierra Leone, it's the first time they deal with international investors, and understandably sometimes there are gaps, but we do see a lot of opportunities, and I think with a bit of support, more investment is possible.
Great, thank you for those insights. Cedric, do you also want to share some?
Yes, for our transaction, we had quite a specific challenge due to the sector, because it's palm oil, which, as you know, can be a controversial sector. But here, the context in West Africa is very different from Southeast Asia in terms of deforestation. But still, we have to. It's a risk that we have to monitor, and the other environmental and social topics. So we worked quite a lot with Jolax to enhance their procedures and standards in terms of ENS, and we will keep doing so after the signing. So it was quite a lot of work to do on the environmental and social side. Another challenge that we had with this client that was not used to working with international investors and DFIs were the due diligence costs that can be seen as high by the clients. So in this case, the help from InvestSalon was definitely appreciated to help finalize the transaction.
Great, thank you. Glad that we could play a role to support this. Great, and then Fola, finally, if I could ask you also for some insights and maybe some advice also for other investors.
All right, I mean, I think everyone on the panel has probably touched on it, which one key lesson is collaboration between private and public actors. I think in our case, at the very onset of the transaction, we did discover that we couldn't open an account in the country without being incorporated in, and we're able to get an exemption from the central bank. And that's because the central bank also was quite interested in seeing this transaction succeed, to revive a capital market which is very much at its early stage of development. And as you would know, microfinance institutions typically, they have very limited access to all-scale local currency funding at scale. So to be able to partner with an institutional investor that can invest in local currency and help them reduce their FX exposure was quite significant. So everyone was sort of invested in trying to see that transaction succeed. And so working with public and local actors and also international investors, I think is really quite important for this transaction. And I would say the key role of development partners such as yourself, I don't think it can be overstated. It's really quite vital.
Great, thank you for that. Yes, and I know these were the first transactions for LCBF and ProParker. I know BI has already had a footprint, but I hope there are more to come. And it's just the first of many in the future. Are there any strategic plans or any recommendations of what we could do better or what we could work on to mobilize more investment in the future?
I mean, I don't know if you're asking specifically for Barcelona, but what I would say is I see the Lapo-Sierra Leone transaction as one setting a precedent for capital market activity, because it does show local institutions, particularly financial institutions, that they can get access to local currency funding from international investors, as long as we all can just think about the structure and find something that is suitable for the country and also for the issuer as well. Although Lapo issued a 2-year note now, I sort of see them coming to the market again, issuing further insurances that can then lengthen an immaturity, which I think would be quite exciting for us and for you as well as a partner.
Great, thank you so much. I don't know if there are any other comments from the panel. Otherwise, I would hand on to our second panel, because we also have some exciting new opportunities for investment in Sierra Leone with the second panel. Otherwise, thank you very much for your participation.
On investment opportunities in Sierra Leone, and I'll invite our panelists to join me on the stage. First, we have Mr. Victor Bangura, who is the Director of Investment Promotion and Acting Chief Operations Officer at the Sierra Leone National Investments Board. Please join us on stage, Victor. We have Siaka Stevens, who is a co-founder and CEO of Sharebro Alliance Partners. We also have Jack Ovens, who is the founder of True Stone, which is a venture building studio. Then we have John Skitano, who is the managing director of Pangea Global Ventures. Please join us on stage. Thank you. Thank you all, and it's a pleasure to have you on stage to discuss investment opportunities in Sierra Leone. So I'll start with you, Victor. We just want to understand the government's priorities when it comes to investment promotion in Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much, and let me use this opportunity to congratulate EcoBank and BII for a historic milestone in signing an agreement. What that tells us is that Sierra Leone has investment opportunities, and that is a testament that us as investors in the room will have to take opportunity of that. I'll look at investment opportunity as captured in our National Development Plan, which we have 5 key areas that we want to drive public and private investments into. This is agribusiness. The second is human capital development, and it includes fisheries, tourism, etc., etc. The third is our investments into the youth, because whatever drives investment, we have to create decent job opportunities for our youth. And fourth is the digital economy and how we build infrastructure to support those investments. Of course, His Excellency talked about the challenge we face as a country in terms of infrastructure, yet we see that as an opportunity. And the fifth is how we can revamp the private sector to support this investment drive. But permits me to zoom in on 2 key areas where we think the opportunity will focus. And first is on agriculture and agribusiness. It is a $12 billion investment plan, which we've put together, dubbed as the Feed Salon. What that tells us is we want to increase or boost productivity and enhance exports. So agribusiness is key. And the second thing is on the digital economy. We have developed what we call a tech city. A 150 million investment has been earmarked to drive that tech city. And we believe that bringing digital technology into the space will help drive investments in all other sectors. So those 5 are key as part of government's agenda, but those 2 are our goal to support the ecosystem from both the private and the public investments.
Thank you, Victor. I think this really helps us to enlightens us on the opportunities within the country. So I'd move on to Jack. You have been investing in Sierra Leone for about a decade now with your venture building studio. Tell us about the experience investing in Sierra Leone and also some of the challenges you faced and how you've navigated them.
Yeah, sure, thanks. As you said, Valerie, we've been investing in Sierra Leone for over 10 years now. And we've taken a venture studio approach by effectively incubating, seeding and scaling a portfolio of 6 companies in high impact sectors such as agriculture, financial inclusion, and basic goods and services. I guess, you know, Sierra Leone is a challenging place to invest into. And we've been very fortunate. We work with a cohort of investors primarily based here in the UK with very patient horizons. I mean, of the challenges, I'd say the one that keeps us up at night the most is FX and FX risk. And I think, you know, if you're in the business of early stage investing like we are, you really need to think acutely about how you build strategy to sort of reinforce the way in which your companies can grow and manage FX risk. So we've done that by being very careful about raising any debt finance into our portfolio. So none of our portfolio companies have any hard currency debt on their balance sheet. The only company with debt is our microfinance bank, and all of its borrowing is hedged in local currency. Yeah, I think, you know, and we've been very fortunate to work with some hedging partners in between, and also through Invest Alone being able to connect with investors with a lot more experience than us in this territory. I see Tom in the room here, and we've been talking to Tom about local FX solutions. So, you know, it's been extremely helpful. It's been an extremely humbling exercise working in Sierra Leone for 10 years. And, you know, one of the great things about coming to somewhere like AFSIC is, you know, many people will be here, you know, operating in some kind of sales capacity. But, you know, I encourage everyone to ask questions and to meet up with people and to connect with those that have kind of been there and done it. And it's really, really fruitful to be able to take those lessons learned into what we do.
Awesome. Siaka, you are working on a city development project with Idris Elba. So we would like to learn more about that project and how the traction you've been able to build over the past few years?
It's had its challenges, the Sherbro Island City project, but for me, in essence, it's a project about governance, a new governance structure. So what we've created with the government of Sierra Leone is basically a unique public-private sector model where the government, Sherbro Island is now a special economic zone, but it's semi-autonomous. So if you think about Hong Kong and China in the early 80s, it's a similar model. And we're looking at, it's a long-term project. Sherbro Island is 600 square kilometers, same size as San Francisco. So it's a very big island off the coast of Sierra Leone. It's a phased approach. We've taken that into our planning and our considerations. But it's based on, it's basically an ESG project in one. And it covers a lot of the key developments of the government of Sierra Leone, job creation, tourism, fisheries. It's a kind of long-term project. And to raise the level of finance we needed to attract investors for a prolonged period of time, really focused on investor protections. The governance model is crucial. This project has to last the change in governance. So I reckon 70% of our agreement with the government of Sierra Leone is in that agreement is investor protections. And we've gone past the approval stage. It's been approved by the Cabinet of Sierra Leone and it's currently in the ratification process with Parliament. We've also partnered with Lloyd's of London Insurance and Octopus Energy, one of the biggest, I think now the largest energy company in the UK. And they will be building wind farms on Sherbro Island. Hopefully they will be ready first quarter of this year. So I always say I could talk about this project for hours and hours, as you can imagine. But what I do want people to know, even though it's ambitious, it's actually happening. We have a lot of interest from investors from everywhere, and as you can imagine, with someone like Idris Elba flying the flag, there's been a lot of interest in the project. And it's taken its time, negotiating with government just because of the autonomy we have. But the president has been very supportive of the project and the islanders. And as I've mentioned, it's co-created by SAP, our mining interest company, the government of Sierra Leone, and the islanders as well. And just to touch on the structure, so in essence, it's a private sector-led public authority. So on the top of the board is a 7-member board, purely private sector-led. SAP pick 4 of the board members and the government of Sierra Leone pick 3 of the board members. And that's the structure we've agreed with government.
Awesome. So I'll move on to John. You are supporting SMEs in Sierra Leone to become investor ready. For some of the investors in the room, they might find that the challenge investing in Sierra Leone may be how prepared the companies are. So I'd like you to touch more on the supports that institutions or agencies like yours are supporting the companies to actually become investor ready.
Mm-hmm. Visibility is a big challenge for those of us who are aiming to invest in African enterprises, and particularly African SMEs. It's a problem for the capital providers because they need to build a pipeline of diverse investment opportunities. And it's a challenge for the capital seekers because many of them are not at AFSIC, many of them are not even necessarily part of the national entrepreneurial ecosystems. They're putting their heads down and working hard at running their enterprises. And so we need to improve that visibility for both sides, and that's what Pangea's vision is, to improve that visibility, to help the capital providers see a range of investment opportunities, and particularly to help the businesses, especially the SMEs, to understand better who they can go to and how they can raise capital. And so Pangea has teams on the ground in Sierra Leone, also in Ghana and Senegal. We're a small company ourselves, but we're aiming to improve that visibility to help those companies become investment ready, whether it's related to their financial projections or their governance, legal issues, communications, and then find the best fit investors who can invest in those companies. So that's our mission. And I did want to take just 2 minutes to show some very short clips because we want to give those companies visibility. So if the AV team could show 2 short clips of 2 companies in Sierra Leone. Go ahead, please.
export and local discharge of fish, or fish products. Within West Africa, we export fish to South Korea, Asia, and the US, creating jobs and opportunity for local Sierra Leoneans, and basically, repatriation of US dollars and foreign exchange from the country. It will create sustainability quite a bit, at least creating jobs for the average Sierra Leonean. The white pole has been in existence for over 20 years. And the fishing sector has been in operation for over 18 years. We have a lot of experience, especially dealing with our competitors. We know.
We are the owners and there is one in Peninsula Innovative Group that is producing water for the Peninsula community and Freetown and Sierra Leone. So this business to purify and provide clean drinking water for people. Presently, we are producing water in sachet, as you can see. But what we want to do now is to transition from sachet into dispenser in order to help in environmental pollution to reduce plastic waste. Presently, the business is being handled mostly by women. We're happy to hear about Pandia looking for investment to help develop the business. Because presently what is happening in the business is we are employing about 30% of women. I believe if we have this kind of investment, we'll be able to expand our production and be able to provide clean drinking water for more people and be able to employ more women. So it's a good thing and we are looking forward to it. As we can see, this is the fourth generation business in Sierra Leone, indigenous business, and we are looking for all the help in order to be able to compete and be able to prove to the world that is Sierra Leoneans, indigenous Sierra Leoneans can be able to succeed in doing.
All right, we cut those short, but a little bit maybe rough around the edges, like many of these companies are, as the videos are. But it gives you a snapshot, I hope, of a couple of companies, and there are many more such companies. Dynamic, compelling entrepreneurs, generating financial return on investment, social return on investment, and with a little bit of help, they can have an investment-ready opportunity for investors to come in and support their growth.
Awesome. So in terms of impacts that can be generated from these investments in Sierra Leone, I'd like to hear from all the panelists. What do you think is the impact that can be generated in Sierra Leone, in addition to the supports that the companies, the businesses, whether they're SMEs or large-scale businesses, what kind of support can be offered to them so that we can see more investments like we've seen today? So maybe we can start from Victor.
Yeah. Firstly, as a government and as a country, we fully understand the challenges we face. And that is why we have instituted the National Investment Board with a threefold mandate. First, to promote investment, facilitate investors, and improve the investment climate in the country. And the Investments Board is chaired by His Excellency the President and co-chaired by the Honorable Vice President. And it has within its key economic ministers who sit on the board. And what happens that investment proposals are taken to the board and decisions made, and we're asked as a secretariat to implement those proposals. That is because we've embraced our challenges in both hard and soft ways. Hard ways, improving the infrastructure to support growth, and the soft reforms to ensure that we bring forth the laws, the regulations to support the smooth establishment or actualization of investment. The good thing is, if the Bank of Sierra Leone, for instance, can support Propaco to actualize their investments, it means there are institutions within Sierra Leone that will support your investments and will drive your investments. The reason is we have said to ourselves that we have to meet investors halfway and to support their investments and their deal. Simply because we want social impact projects, we want to attract game-changing investments who are responsible, we want to ensure that they create the required jobs, and at the end of the day, it will be not only a win for the government, but a win for the investor and also a win for the community in which they operate. So it is an opportunity for us to look at Sierra Leone as not only that country with a population of 8.5 million, but that which sits within a location that will support growth from within its neighboring countries, a country that has laws or signed up to international treaties that will allow for the export of your product. So effectively, it's not only about the 8.5 million people, but also the region as a whole within the Mano River space, ECOWAS, and the African Continental Free Trade Area for which we are members. And the impact will support the third pillar of our National Development Plan, which is to create 500,000 jobs in the next 5 years, right through to 2030. And a chunk of those jobs will be created by the private sector. Hence the reason why we are putting the reforms in place. Hence the reason why the government has asked sectors, institutions, like the Bank of Sierra Leone, like the National Investment Board, to support investors and to handhold them right through to actualizing. As such, they'll create the required impact in the country, the impact for the investor for which they are established in Sierra Leone. So it is an opportunity for you to look at Sierra Leone where it's now the time to invest, because our challenges are your opportunities.
Thank you. The challenges of Sierra Leone are opportunities for investors to actually make an impact. John?
My colleague mentioned the creation of jobs. Who creates jobs? It's the private sector that creates jobs. It's not the United Nations that creates jobs. It's not the NGOs that create jobs. Those entities do important work, and in a situation like Sierra Leone, where the Human Development Index is one of the lowest in the world, there's a need for aid, but there's a need for private sector investment, and it's very exciting to see what is arguably one of the best opportunities in the world for impact plus return on investment. And it's exciting to be in a place like this where we have like-minded people who are talking about impact investment, generating jobs, generating food security, even nutritional outcomes. With orange flesh sweet potato, for example, a crop that grows extremely well along with other roots and tubers in Sierra Leone, the way that cassava, yams, and other products like this grow in Sierra Leone, we can invest in sweet potato, which is rich in vitamin A, an excellent nourishing food for children, and in cowpea, and even in edible oils and other products that will generate social returns as well as financial returns in a sustainable way. So it's very exciting to be part of this movement. There's incredible momentum in seeing this not only happening in Ghana and in Kenya and in Nigeria and in South Africa, but in Sierra Leone, and to be a part of this. And I, of course, invite those who are not yet investing in Sierra Leone to consider these opportunities and the opportunity for return on investment. Yes, as you can see, these companies are making money, but also for the social, climate returns as well. And we can go on, but measuring these returns and helping these companies measure the social, environmental returns on investment, in addition to the financial statements and projections, it's a place where we all want to go. And I think by working together with government entities, with investors, and with facilitators like Pangea, we can make more investments happen.
Awesome. Jack?
I think Samir touched on this earlier. I think the phrase he used was success brings success. And I think that we think about this on different levels, but certainly it brings a lot of joy and satisfaction to be able to see our core business across our portfolios growing and growing sustainably. I mean, across our 6 companies, we employ over 600 people now. And so I think focusing on how you can simplify a lot of your business models into something that's genuinely scalable is one aspect. And then when it comes to finding the support to then do the innovative stuff, then I think it's really helpful to have access to program support such as InvestAlone. And it's not just grant funding that InvestAlone have provided us. They've actually sort of gone right from the very beginning, helping us build the application, helping us design the scope of work that we wanted to support to then allow our companies to become more investment ready. And then thirdly, I'd say that then us as a manager and thinking about the support we've had through ARIA and through InvestAlone as well. This allows us as an investment manager to get in front of DFIs, to put our portfolio companies out there in front of potential investors that, otherwise, and John touched upon visibility, that perhaps we wouldn't be able to connect them to. So being able to bring outside external investors into the country, being able to showcase the work that we're doing, and then just not just at that, but then being able to work on specific exercises, one of which we are completing at the moment with the support of InvestAlone and ARIA, and that's to help build out our exit strategy for our new investment vehicle that's seeking to raise $25 million to support the growth of our current portfolio, but also to seed new ventures and to scale into neighbouring markets as well.
Thank you. So John, you've spoken about the fact that there's a lot of jobs to be created in Sierra Leone through these investments. Jack has emphasized that with the jobs that have been created through the portfolio of investments that they've made in Sierra Leone. He's also spoken about the support he's received from agencies such as ARIA and InvestAlone and Pangea, which help the companies to actually become investor ready. Siaka, would you like to add anything to this?
Yes, I just want to talk about impact. So for me, my personal journey, I've been working on the project for almost 10 years now. I'm driven by the huge impact it will have on future generations. So if you think about when I first started visioning about Chevro, I always thought, okay, if there was, as crazy as it sounds, if there was a single port in West Africa, a lot of West Africans will move back. And we have a lot of our skilled diaspora that are abroad, and we need them to come back to the continent. So with Chevro, it's the phased approach as mentioned, but we do have, it's an incredible, natural, beautiful island. It has 51 kilometers of golden beaches, has lots of greenery, mangroves, but it also has a rich history. There's a town called Bonth on Chevro Island. It was a former British colony. It has colonial buildings that are still there today, has a landing strip, and we're focusing, in our development plans, we're focusing as the gateway into the rest of the island. It can be a very good place for historical tourism, and so that is our main focus in this long journey. But impact is crucial, job creation, focusing on healthcare, education, sustainability, economic harmony, economic development in harmony with sustainability. And one thing I want to add is I always describe when I speak to potential investors about the project, I use an analogy that SAP, we are the iPhone. The Development Authority, which is this unique new system of governance, is the iOS system that protects the integrity of the iPhone. So the apps, when you get a new phone, you always get some preloaded apps on your phone. So these are our industries, if it's aquaculture, agri-tech, tourism, these are the kind of driving industries that we're doing our economic studies on to focus on our investments in these particular industries that will give this project the best chance of reaching its full potential.
Thank you. So we've talked about the investment opportunities. John, would you like to share any additional opportunities before we close out this session?
Yes, I want to give everyone an assignment. Take note. The first is the AFSIC Sierra Leone Deal Book. Thank you, AFSIC, for helping us put this together. There are 15 compelling deals. Please have a look at the deal book, and you'll get a better glimpse of the 2 companies that were shown today, as well as 13 others. The second is learn more about these companies. You can do so by finding the Pangea Global Ventures LinkedIn page. And there we've actually created another group, which is investment opportunities in Sierra Leone. So find more about those there. You can meet the investors. I wish Reg, the founder, could have been here. He unfortunately is not, but you can still meet him. We'll set up meetings for any investor that would like to meet him. You can share this, you can learn more through the LinkedIn page, and we're actually holding an event for Global Entrepreneurship Week in November where you'll get to hear directly, ask questions from Reg and other founders. So those are your assignments, the deal book, the LinkedIn page, and join us for an event where you get to meet these investors, these enterprises in November.
Thank you, John. So you've met some investment opportunities here. We also have additional investment opportunities in the deal book. There are investment opportunities across a wide range of sectors in Sierra Leone, financial institutions as we've seen today. There's infrastructure, agriculture, tourism. There's a wide range of opportunities in Sierra Leone, and we want to use this opportunity to encourage all investors in the room and people who are looking at any type of investment opportunity to look at Sierra Leone as an investment destination. Thank you. Thank you to our panelists. We are going to have a Q&A session after this. So if you have any questions, I think you can stay on the stage. First panel, the panelists for our first panel, please join us here so you can answer any questions that people may have. No, it's fine. Awesome. So the floor is open. If you have any questions, we are happy to take them.
Don't be shy.
Can I have a microphone here? Thank you.
It's just a really specific question. What's the time frame on your island?
Hello. Yeah, that's a very good question. So I get asked this quite a lot, as you can imagine. So we are actually in the process of undertaking our feasibility studies. So we're working with the likes of Norman Foster's and Partners, Sasaki, based out of Boston. We've got infrastructure company. There's about 7 consultants. They will complete the work in the next 6 to 8 months, and that will have the detailed master plan and have all the economic studies done in terms of the visioning and where we're going to start in terms of business opportunities on Chebro. As you can imagine, it's a blank canvas. So I'm hoping in the next 5 to 5 years there will be some kind of touristic, if it's hotels, ecotourism. We're talking to some hotel developers that are very interested in the project as well. So I'm hoping the next 3 to 6 years, there'll be some development there, and then it'll just continue to take its course after that. But like I've mentioned, we've kind of done the hard lifting in terms of our agreement with the government of Sierra Leone. That was very complex, and we have all our team of consultants in place, and they're ready to undertake the studies to begin.
Thank you. My question is to the gentleman who has been investing in Sierra Leone for the last 10 years. I think one of the challenges he identifies is the forest issue. I don't know if he's able to explain in more detail how they're able to, overcome this forest issue. I know in Sierra Leone, the rate at which the local currency depreciates against the dollar is a really major issue. I don't know how, if you're able to, in more concrete terms, explain to us how, one can overcome this challenge.
Yeah, sure. We're overcoming this challenge for sure. It's an ongoing battle, but as I said earlier, I think the way in which we have explicitly financed the growth of our portfolio companies at an early stage, we've been very careful not to invest hard currency debt onto their balance sheets, because that obviously just presents so much FX risk if and when currency does depreciate, which we've seen. So we think very carefully about how we do that. And then I think the answer is to our shareholders, our equity investors, then it's just about pushing out that timeline to as long as you possibly can, so that you can absorb some of that FX risk and downside into your thinking, or into their thinking. We also think about sort of natural hedges, and increasingly, I think the sort of holy grail is to have sort of hard currency revenues and a local currency cost base. And we're quite a way from achieving that across our portfolio. It certainly won't be achieved across our portfolio, but in some cases we are starting to see that realised. So we have a low carbon brick manufacturing business, and quite a majority of our customers now are diaspora customers, and they're actually funding the development and paying in hard currency, but we do have a local currency cost base in Sierra Leone. So I think thinking really acutely about that, and then what can you absorb in terms of FX risk? And so for us as a microfinance bank, if we look at the kind of pricing over the last couple of years, it hasn't changed a huge amount. But if we think about where sort of global interest rates are going and what that means in terms of cost of borrowing and where that's heading, it does present challenging circumstances. And Olivier, who's just behind you, who works at Triple Jump, who's a long-standing partner of ACTB's, our microfinance bank. And it's great to be working with partners like Olivier and Triple Jump that really understand these environments and how you are able to build growth in countries with volatile macro conditions. And I think in some cases, of course, you as an institution have to bear some of that cost, and then we look at how we can then pass down some of that cost onto the end customer. Unfortunately, because we're in sort of basic goods and services, the sort of nature of our products are fairly price elastic, and of course, that has its limits. But Sierra Leonean consumers are sort of, to some extent, used to, never-ending inflation. So what we have to do is just be able to work with our customers and consumers, and make sure that we try to be as sort of explicit as we possibly can, and really sharing with the challenges that we have, and as we attempt to grow these things.
Maybe I can come in from the perspective of an investor. Yeah. So with the ALCB fund, we mostly invest in local currency, even though we are a foreign currency denominated fund. And how we are able to do that is, apart from the decades of experience we have in some of these markets, is mostly because of the hedging solutions that are available in the markets that we invest in. Obviously, in Sierra Leone, the currency volatility is a challenge, and the stage of the financial markets as well, because it just means there are limited hedging opportunities. And if at all you want to hedge, it's either you hedge, you use the natural hedge, as you mentioned, or you use some form of very complicated structures. For ourselves, I think we're quite a bit lucky because we got TCX. So TCX is the currency exchange fund that was set up by DFIs and other MIVs, and essentially what they do is to act as a price maker in currencies and maturities that are not covered by banks and other service providers or counterparties relating to that provide hedging solutions. So in our case, we're able to get a non-deliverable currency swap with them. But again, the currency situation also means that hedging in loans can be quite expensive, and that can actually impact deal economics. But it's just one of the ways we think about this.
What was the price for hedge? How what was the price of the bond?
So the bond is priced, I think, around 31%. Yes, I mean, the interest rate in Sierra Leone is roughly around there because inflation is really quite high.
Right, so the currency problem that you alluded to is in two parts, right? One is the actual FX risk and the losses that come from the depreciation. The second is actually access to the foreign currency itself at the volume that you want and at the time that you need it. So for us as a commercial bank that's been operating in that market for about 18 years, we're able to work with you if you have a bit of predictability in terms of when you need that foreign currency. We can actually work with you so that we kind of source it for you and build it up as you go along. And that also helps to a large degree. But I'd also like to point out that if you look at the depreciation that occurred in 2013, for example, and you compare it with what we've experienced in 2014, there's been a much desired improvement in terms of the stability that we're seeing in the Leone.
Okay, I can't keep Any more questions?
I have a question for Propako. So Jolax, you chose Jolax to invest in. Why Jolax over the other similar businesses? What is it about them that stood out and gave you the confidence to invest in them?
Well, I would say several reasons. Well, it was an obvious client for us because it's one of the biggest corporates in Sierra Leone, and as we have a minimum ticket size usually around 10 million, so it's hard for us to work directly with SMEs. So we tend to focus on bigger corporates. Also, linking it with the FX topic, the advantage of Jolax is that they export to neighboring countries, so they have revenue in dollars. So we were able to finance them in dollars without generating FX risk. And also, well, seeing the activity that they have in Sierra Leone and the neighboring countries, it's an essential provider of basic goods, basic food, cooking oil. So in terms of impact and food security, for us it was a pretty obvious choice.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Hi everyone, Alex from Investor Loan, run by Cadmus Group. Thank you to the panel for speaking today. Very interesting insights and perspectives. Congratulations on the deals that have gone through in the last couple of months. My question is twofold, and it's open to the whole panel. I guess in terms of the people in this room, there's investors, there's governments, there's agencies, DFIs, MFIs. What can we all do to expand the capital flows going into Sierra Leone? How can we help in that regard? And I guess secondly, what sectors are you most excited about in Sierra Leone and see opportunities for growth in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think with personally my situation and our company is at the really early stage. We face this across the board where people see the vision and see the potential, but we're a little bit too early stage at the moment for some people. And I think it's the DFIs, the investors, or trying to find a way where you can really look at these early opportunities to take advantage of, because we are getting the most traction in the UAE, for example, obviously because they've seen a similar trajectory in terms of their economies in the last 30 years. So there's a lot of interest out there, but to more kind of established global north countries, there's a bit of, ooh, it's a bit ambitious, or, you know, we're too early stage. So I think that would help to kind of find a solution, because I think there's a lot of opportunities that people are missing because there's this grey area. And for me personally, in terms of the next future businesses or the next 5 to 10 years, I think Sierra Leone tourism is huge. So one of the things I was looking at early on is, I think I read somewhere 2/3 of tourism labour and workforce is unskilled labour. Sierra Leone has a lot of that. So for me, tourism, I think we're missing out on a huge trick with tourism. Yes, we have to get the flight situation sorted. Our flights are very expensive. And obviously, hopefully, that bridge will get built one day. So there's a lot of challenges, but tourism and also the fintech industry, I think there's huge potential there as well for me personally. And so those are the growth sectors. Agriculture is massive as well. Our natural climate is suited to agriculture or agri-tech. So for me, those are the exciting industries that I'm looking forward to.
I'll jump in here too.
Yeah.
First, a statistic, 15% of the cultivatable land in Sierra Leone is currently cultivated. 15%. The soil is fertile in Sierra Leone. The water resources are tremendous. There's enormous potential to grow more food. And it's a very food insecure country. If you look at all the statistics, the rates of malnutrition are high. The rates of food insecurity are high throughout the region. So the potential to grow more food with very clear solutions, better agricultural inputs, more mechanization, more post-production processing, reduced losses. So food and agriculture is the sector. And then secondly, there's a bit of debate about, is the bigger challenge the supply of capital or the demand for capital? And I'm hearing a lot of capital providers saying, we have money, we're ready to invest. Acumen, I had a call with them on Friday with White Pole Fishing Company. Investisseurs et Partenaires is always saying, can you bring us some more deal flow? Even the banks, I'm sure, will attest that they're looking for good companies. So we need to help these companies that are already making money, but again, they're not necessarily visible, to help them become more visible, to help them prepare their investment pitch, to help them understand exactly what capital they need and how to approach the right investor. If we can do that, we'll accelerate deal flow.
I'll be remiss in my duties if I fail to respond to your question, Alex. So from where we sit from the government side of view, looking at where the key drivers or the growth is in terms of investments, we'll look at agriculture, agribusiness, fisheries and marine resources. And this will include primary, secondary, and tertiary activities. So which means along the value chain, opportunities do exist. We also, and that brings us to the fact that manufacturing will support those value chain activities, not only for the local market, but also having export potential. We're also looking at clean energy through renewables. And then we're looking at tourism as a support sector that drives all of these other sectors. Because wherever agribusiness is established, we need ancillary services to support. So be it ecotourism, be it hospitality. So these are the key areas where we figure out that we drive the economy and where we think that investors will come in and make good returns.
I just want to add one more thing. So World Bank have said that the African population will be 2.5 billion by 2050. And half of those 2.5 billion will reside in urban areas. So as much as my project seems ambitious to some people, you will see a lot of these similar projects in the continent, especially when we're talking about sustainability. Planned cities are crucial to manage that sustainability. And unfortunately in Africa, as you know, there are not a lot of planned cities. So with our model, we're looking at something that could be replicated throughout the continent. We have a planned city that is focused on sustainability as well and governance.
Thank you. We've run out of time, so we have to wrap up this. But I just want to say a very big thank you to our panelists for accepting to be here with us and for sharing these really amazing insights on your investments in Sierra Leone and the work that you are doing in Sierra Leone. This has been very insightful. I think I can speak for the audience that it's been very insightful listening to you and hearing about the opportunities in Sierra Leone. So thank you very much. And to our audience, we would like to say a very big thank you to you for making it for this event and for sitting through an hour and a half of these conversations. We are very happy to have you here, and we hope that you have found something to invest in. We'll also use this opportunity to direct you to the Sierra Leone Deal Book. Please have a look, and if you find anything interesting, you can reach out to any of us and have a conversation about them. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Jay Saka.